Hey folks, this is Yuri Karasawa. The opening weekend of the 2025 NPB season just finished, so let's run through each series plus some standout performances. Starting with the defending champion, DNA BayStars against the Chunichi Dragons. Opening day was a battle of the aces between Katsuki Azuma and last year's ERA title winner Hiroto Takahashi. The BayStars got to Takahashi early and didn't let him get in a rhythm. I thought Takahashi's stuff looked as good as usual, but his command was a bit off, and a lineup as good as DNA will make you pay, so he ended up allowing 8 hits and 5 runs in 5+ innings, which would have been his worst start of 2024, so obviously not the best start to 2025 for him, but it reminds me of Shoki Murakami last year, who won the ERA title in 2023, and then had a career worst start on opening day in 2024. So, don't read too much into it. I'm sure Takahashi will still finish as a top 5 starter. Game 2 was Trevor Bauer's return to NPB for the first time since 2023. He was pretty good, struck out the side in the first, and finished with 6 innings, 1 run, 8 strikeouts. But his opponent, Takahiro Matsuba, actually outdueled him with 7 shutout innings, mixing speeds effectively with a ton of soft off-speed stuff. And then the rubber match went to the BayStars. Top prospect Shion Matsuo hits his first career home run and called a good game behind the plate, with Kentaro Taira pitching 5 shutout innings. Hopefully he stays healthy this season, because when he's on, he's definitely top rotation caliber. We just haven't seen much of him in recent years. Yomiuri Giants versus Yakult Swallows. This edition of the Tokyo Derby was pretty one-sided as the Giants completed the sweep. Worth mentioning, of course, that the Swallows were missing Murakami, Shiomi, and Yamada, some of their best players, and things looked pretty good for Yakult early. They were up 5-0 on opening day, but they blew it late as the Giants came back and won 6-5 in extras. This is something that Swallows fans have come to get used to in recent years, with the bullpen blowing games. Trey Cabbage with a huge NPB debut with 2 doubles and a homer. Gakuto Wakabayashi had 4 hits, including a walk-off single in place of an injured Yoshihiro Maru. And despite the loss, I do think Yakult can take away some positives from this game, because Yasunobu Okugawa's velocity was up and he looked much more comfortable landing his splitter. Him staying healthy and getting back to ace form, that's going to be a major win condition this season. Game 2 was an absolute rout, 12-0 behind another big game from Cabbage and the newly acquired Taki Akai. And then Game 3 was also a shutout, 3-0 this time. We saw that Taisei Raido Martinez 1-2 punch in the 8th and 9th for the first time, and yeah, they're hard to get past. So the Giants scored 21 unanswered runs this series after initially trailing in the first game. Impressive, to say the least. Hanshin Tigers at Hiroshima Carp, a very pitching-dominated series, unsurprisingly so. Shoki Murakami was back in MVP form on opening night, falling just 1 out shy of a complete game shutout. He showcased a completely revamped slow slider to add to his already deep mix. I think the second half of 2024 was really just a blip in the radar. He's going to be elite this season. Carp were leading in the second game until Shota Morishita flipped the score in the 6th with a 2-run shot off Hiroki Tokoda, and they held on to win. Hiroshima did avoid the sweep, though, as Shohei Mori threw 7 shutout innings in Game 3, allowing just 2 hits with 5 strikeouts. And then Taylor Hearn and Roji Korebayashi shut the door out of the pen. This is basically the formula for how Hiroshima has to win games. They're not going to score many runs, so they need the starter to keep them in, and then they can really rely on their one strength, which is the bullpen. Lotte Marines versus SoftBank Hawks, a surprising sweep by the Marines on the road. So, going back to last year's Japan series, the Hawks have now lost 7 straight games, which is very unlike the juggernauts that they were in the regular season last year. Yes, they were missing Roya Kurihara, and Levon Moinello didn't pitch this series, but all 3 games were winnable for them. They had a lead in all of them. Opening day, Kohei Arihara gives you 5 no-hit innings. You're feeling good, but then absolute disaster struck as Lotte put up 6 runs in the 6th, highlighted by a Toshiya Sato 2-run shot. And then for some reason, they kept Arihara in the game. He ended up giving up another run in the 7th. So from 5 no-hit innings to 7 runs in 7 innings, having him go a 4th time through the order on opening day was just kind of mind-boggling when he clearly had lost it. But I guess SoftBank had kind of conceded the game at that point and just wanted him to eat another inning, which is a pretty big contrast when you really think of it from MLB teams bringing in a position player, for example, in a blowout. I guess I prefer to see the starter stay in there from an entertainment product perspective, but that definitely set a bad tone for them. Austin Voth versus Tomohisa Ozeki in Game 2. Both teams exchanged 3-run homers in the 5th inning, first by Hiromi Oka and then Yuki Yanagita answered. The game ended up going to extras though, and Oka came through yet again with a go-ahead hit. So it felt like Lotte had kind of stolen those first 2 games, but the third game was an even worse collapse for SoftBank as they were up 4-0 early against ace Atsuki Tanaichi, taking advantage of the Marines' defensive mistakes. Tomoya Masaki hit a homer. Naoyuki Uesawa in his first game back in Japan since 2023 was doing well, but once again they let this game get away from them. The Marines tie it in the 7th off Darwinzon Hernandez and then take the lead in the 8th off Kazuki Sugiyama, 2 of their best relievers. They just did not have it on this day, and granted there was some unluckiness as the go-ahead run was scored via the ball getting stuck in the catcher's protective gear, but Lotte then added a couple more runs in the 9th. So I've been presenting this from more of the perspective of the Hawks kind of struggling out the gates because this was the first time they've ever been swept at home to start a season, and they are still one of the favorites to go all the way this year, so I have to kind of critique them by those standards. But honestly, what a great job by the Marines. The lineup led by Oka and Neftali Soto was clicking. The bullpen is stronger now with Shunsuke Nakamori and Tyron Guerrero in there. Seibu Lions and Nippon Ham Fighters. This was a sweep in favor of Nippon Ham. Opening day was an old-school pitchers duel between Tatsuya Imai and Shoma Kanemura. They both went the distance with complete games, but the difference was that Kotaro Kiyomiya and Franmil Reyes hit late solo shots off of Imai, so it was a tight 2-0 win by the Fighters. The second game went extras, and Daigo Kawabata got the big go-ahead hit off Trey Wingenter. And then the third game was the Yuki James Nomura show. He went 3 for 4 with a double, 2 homers, and 6 ribbies. He did all that damage against Kona Takahashi, who's coming off a really rough season. I think he's going to be better in 2025, but this was not a great start for him. Seibu scored a few runs late to make it look close, but the Fighters really flexed their muscles in the power department this series, as expected. And we saw Shinjo playing around with the bullpen some more. They don't really have a ton of stability there in terms of experience, but what they do have is depth. So you're going to see a lot of different faces, and hopefully they can keep tapping into the upside with a lot of them. And then last but not least, Oryx Buffaloes, Rakuten Eagles. Buffs take this series 2-1. Hiroya Miyagi versus Takahisa Hayakawa in the opener. Battle of the Southpaws, battle of the aces, and Miyagi was in complete control. He takes a perfect game into the 8th, ends up losing it on a lame infield hit to first. Then he gives up a run later on a sac fly, but 8 innings of 1-run ball, 7 strikeouts, utter domination. His fastball slider combo is just untouchable when he's painting that low glove side corner. Rakuten did tie it after he left, but Kenya Wakatsuki, Miyagi's battery mate, got a walk-off hit to save the day. Game 2 also came down to the wire. Aaron Curry's debut with Oryx was pretty shaky, but they did come back and tie it. The Eagles did end up taking it though, with a big 10th inning. And then Game 3 was more one-sided. Buffalo's lineup woke up this time with 16 hits and 6 runs. Ryo Ota had 4 hits. Yutaro Sugimoto homered. Good to see that Oryx can actually hit sometimes, even with their best player, Tomoya Mori, currently on the shelf. So yeah, after 3 days of action, Lotte, Nippon Ham, and Yomiuri are undefeated. SoftBank, Seibu, and Yakult are winless. Offense does seem to be up across the board compared to 2024, so the balls are still kind of dead, but most balls that should be going out for homers are actually making it out now, so that's definitely an exciting development. Still a lot of top pitchers yet to make their 2025 debuts though, and obviously each team still has 140 games remaining. Don't read too much into the opening weekend, but it sure is great to have baseball back. Make sure to follow me on X at Yaku Cosmo for more NPB insights and subscribe to my newsletter on japanball.com.